Anthony Stevens is a North Melbourne legend by any definition. Sadly, he is remembered more for his part as the innocent victim of a scandal that rocked the football world and split his footy club. We've seen little and heard little of you in the last 10 years, Anthony. Update us.
How are you, Mike, anyway?
I'm good. Yeah, welcome.
I've lived the last 8 years in Echuca. I originally bought a business called Perfect Party Hire. Now we've changed the name to Stride Events because we grew from a party hire business into an event hire business. So with that, I'm now living in Bendigo. Moved there 12 months ago. We've got a branch down there.
What's your domestic situation, Anthony?
Domestic in regards to?
Well, your kids and your marital status.
Yeah, I'm divorced. I have 2 young kids. My daughter Ava's 14 and my little boy River's 9.
Anthony, what have you said to the kids about the marriage breakdown? How explicit have you been?
With my daughter Ava, she's 14. I suppose she's seen a bit and been through a little bit. She understands the situation that mum and dad weren't happy, and that if the parents are happy in life, then the kids are going to be happy around that. So. With that, Kelly and I are, I think we're very good parents and we look after our kids. I have the kids every 3rd week.
Are mum and dad amicable?
Yeah. I mean, we've had our moments in regards to different things. At the moment we are. And, Kelly's the actual mother of my children, so I always love her for that. And, that's just life,
Anthony, you've been very silent since news of the affair broke. Why have you decided to talk now?
I just feel the time's right. I mean, a lot of people have probably, I've never said a word and never really wanted to. I just wanted to get on with my life and have a private life, which was pretty hard there for a fair while. So in the end, I just felt, after talking to you on a few occasions at different social events, that you wanted to get me on, and I said no a fair few times. But the more I've thought about it, I thought, well, why not? The time felt right for me, and to actually have a chat. And it's funny how a lot of people out there seem to want to ask a lot of questions about it.
No restrictions on me. You said to me that there was nothing that was taboo.
No, you can ask me any question you want, Mike.
I know we are going to focus on your playing career. I know, but you knew when I asked you that this was going to be a central part of the interview. We'll get back to the playing career. I'll do this in a block first, all right? There's a North Melbourne reunion coming up next year, 20th anniversary of the 1996 Premiership win.
Yep.
You and Wayne Carey were integral parts of that team for over a long period.
Yep.
Will you go?
Definitely, I've been to all the reunions. I don't need to shy away from those scenarios, and I don't think Wayne actually does that as well. I mean, it's actually a sad situation because it is a bit of a broken bond, I suppose, between the players, and it's a sad scenario. But in the end, I think I've never overstepped the mark in regards to making my teammates and our great mate and friendship that we had decide between the two of us. So in the end, I go there, and in the end, Wayne goes there, and we get on with life. We don't talk to each other.
So if you cross paths, would you acknowledge each other?
No. I mean, we'd look at each other, but Wayne made a nod, but I don't give him too much. So.
And how do you say people like, for argument's sake, Craig Scholl and David King, who are great friends of both of you?
Yep.
Is it difficult for them to walk that line? I mean, if they're seen to be with one of you, does that sort of impact on the other? If you see one of your good mates spending a lot of time with Duck, does that worry you?
Not at all. I mean, it's between 4 people that were involved in that scenario at the time. So in the end, it doesn't faze me. I mean, I don't want my mates to choose between 2 mates. I mean, they can make an assessment whether they agree with what happens or whatever, and whether they want to involve themselves with Wayne or myself. That's their choice. So in the end, I don't want to put people in an awkward situation, and I'll try not to do that.
Have you had an extended discussion with Wayne since the affair?
After it all happened, and Kelly told me what had happened, I pretty much agreed or asked to go and see Wayne, which we did.
Was that the meeting in Albert Park a couple of days afterwards?
Yeah. So spoke to him quickly then. He said a couple of words and I told him more or less to stick it and had my piece and I walked out. Glenn and I decided at one stage that it was a little bit unfair because Wayne was such a figurehead, a legend and a champion of the club that it was only fair and fitting for the trainers and some of the players that he should come back and say goodbye. So we had a meeting with Wayne, Glenn and I, to actually discuss that. And
this was a subsequent meeting to the Albert Park one?
Yeah. And then eventually Wayne come back and had his, got the playing group and all the staff together and he had a chat to those guys. So apart from that, no.
Is there a point, do you think, in your life down the track where you could actually forgive him?
No. I mean, I've moved on with life, and in the end, I mean, the media probably didn't have to help the scenario because let's be honest, this kind of happens everywhere, and it's not the first time. So and it's a sad scenario, but our situation was played out in the media, and I think at one stage it was actually in the papers over in England. So it was a pretty big deal at the time, which I didn't realise until well after it. Because I was kind of trying to work out my life at that moment. So in the end, I'm just getting on with life. My theory in life is to surround myself with positive people and people that want to be involved in my world, and I'm a believer that similar people are attracted to similar people. So, that's not something that I agree with what's happened, and you just get on with life.
But you were besties, weren't you?
Glenn Archer's always been my best mate, by a mile. And him and Lee Colbert and John Blakey and guys like that.
But you can have more than one best. I mean, you can have a group of people, though, and you were very popular at North, and I would suspect there's a half dozen blokes that you would regard as lifelong friends.
We were very close. I mean, there was probably a group of 4 or 5 that was super close, and Wayne was a part of that, and so was I. So, and it was strange at the time, but all of a sudden, Wayne, when the affair was happening, and I had inklings of it happening, and then Wayne all of a sudden was becoming even closer to me, which I found strange. So in the end, I mean, you look at a guy like Lee Colbert and Glenn Archer especially, and John Blakey. I mean, Glenn Archer was by my side for probably a month afterwards in regards to making sure that I was in a good place and etc. And I had to actually tell him to go home because I needed time for myself and etc. So, I mean, that's what true mates are, and Glenn and especially was there for me day to day.
How did you cope in that month? I mean, I'm sure it was longer than a month, but in that time, I mean, how depressed did you get? Depressed?
I mean, back then, I mean, it's probably a bit vague to me now in regards to it because it happened so much, and I had a knee at the time that I was trying to get over to come back and play. Then I had that scenario happen. I was probably, we just had a child, still getting over my accident I had with my neck. So, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of things that were going on at that time. I was trying to, work out my marriage and my life, and it was a pretty tough time. And in the end, I don't think I got depressed. I got down, but I don't think I got depressed.
Tell me if this is out of line. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, obviously, because it's up to you. Did you blame Kelly or Wayne more for this, or equally?
It takes 2 to tango. I mean, who do you blame? I don't know. I don't know how that happened. I could never put myself in that situation to go down that track. In the end, I don't think I blame either of them. Blame them both fairly, I suppose, evenly. So in the end, I mean, it's different. I wasn't in a marriage with Wayne. I was in a marriage with Kelly. So in the end, we tried to make it work. It hasn't worked, and we tried to move on from it, which was tough over that period of time. So.
Would it matter if Wayne said sorry? Has Wayne said sorry to you?
No.
No. Would it matter if he did?
I'm not sure. In regards to that, I mean, I've never really thought about it, but that's one thing he's never done. He's never actually gone out of his way to say sorry for whatever reason. But whether it would or would, probably not. I'm still hurt by it. I've moved on from it, so it's not really going to affect me whether he says sorry.
I'll get off your back about this shortly, but Wayne, to me, seems to be in a good place now. Look, better than I've seen him from a distance. Do you care about that? Are you pleased about that?
I don't care that he's in a good place or in a bad place. I don't really care. But in the end, I do have some excitement to see that he's on the right track, because if he's getting himself in trouble, which he has in the past, the first thing they bring up is about what he's done. And my name gets brought up, and so does Kelly's, and so does Carey's name. So in the end, there's 4 important people in this scenario. It was 3, but one's just had another baby. So the kids, and my most important thing is my 2 children. And I'm a huge believer that, I've got kids, and I only get one opportunity to bring them up in the best way, and hopefully in the right way. And Dad's got to be their role model, and Mum's got to be their role model, and that's what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be the best role model that I can. And if Wayne's gets himself in trouble, well, it gets brought up. So at the moment, I like that he's actually getting his life back on track. And I see him, on the TV and hear him on the radio sometimes, etc., which brings back memories. But it's funny, I actually listen to the boys at Triple M, and they're patting his ego at the moment. So hopefully he doesn't go out of the track, because if you're getting your ego you're patted all the time out there in the media or out there in the public, then you think you're invincible, and that's probably one of Wayne's scenarios, that he thought he was invincible, that could never get in trouble, which history tells you that you do, and that affects my 2 children.
Wayne wrote a book, Anthony, that I'm sure you're aware of its existence, The Truth Hurts.
Yep.
Did you bother to have a look at it?
No.
No interest?
No interest at all. Mainly because, I'm not sure what's in there. Some people have told me what's in there, but, I wouldn't be surprised there's a fair bit of exaggeration in there in regards to what's happened. But in saying that, there's only 2 people who know whether it's the truth or not. It's not me. So in the end, I go on what Kelly spoke to me about, and I believe her to be honest over that period of time, which I have to have belief in my ex-wife, and she's the mother of my children. So, I may be naive or whatever, but in the end, it's not something I want to read. It's a negative in life, and not something that I want to be a part of. So
I just want to read you one sentence from the book. In the book, Wayne says, you, was looking at me like a guy who had just been stabbed in the heart. That's probably pretty close to the truth, isn't it?
Very much close to the truth. I suppose loyalty is a huge factor in life, and whether it's going into a marriage or having mates or, playing at a football club, when you trust someone and you believe in them, when they go against, who you are as a person, and I think I'm a very honest person and a very trusting person and a very loyal person, and for someone to go against and do what happened was very hurtful. So, and I'm not the only one that was hurt in that time. Sally was hurt as well, and I felt for her over that period of time. But we both were in survival mode, I suppose, in our lives at the time. But it wasn't the greatest feeling in regards to the media, especially chasing us around. When it all happened, I got out of town for a few days and went up to my mum and dad's and took Kelly away and got her to her mum and dad's, and we had media kind of following us around everywhere. So you couldn't actually even have any grieving scenario over that period of time. So
the footy club was hurt. You're talking about hurt. The footy club was hurt, wasn't it?
Definitely.
Probably the best player that's ever played for the footy club had to leave.
Yeah.
It disrupted the place, didn't it?
Yeah. No doubt. And I think in the end, it's, Wayne was a huge part of the football club. I mean, he was an absolute superstar and probably one of the best to ever play the game, and definitely the best player that's ever played at North Melbourne. So he was a huge figure at North Melbourne. But in the end, probably one of the bonuses out of the whole scenario is that Wayne left, and all of a sudden, because he was such a dominant figure as a captain and in the club, and some guys may have been scared to actually have a say in regards to any views on, at the football club or whatever at that stage. But all of a sudden, when I was appointed captain, And it wasn't just me. There was Glenn Archer, who was vice captain. There was John Blakey. There was David King. There was Lee Colbert, Matthew Burton, Sav Rocco. I could go on. Adam Simpson stood up, and that's why I became captain. You know, we all of a sudden found, 20 captains at that football club because they all stood up and had love for that football club and didn't want it to go anywhere. And the strength of the football club, I think, out of that actually got stronger.
Do you accept any blame or any responsibility for the affair? When you look at when you put your head down yourself and think what might have been different?
I don't accept any blame for that, no. In the end, it was you make choices in life and your own decisions, and I didn't have a part of any of those decisions or choices. So in the end, I don't blame myself. I'm not saying I was perfect in the marriage, and marriage is hard, it's difficult. But you know what? When you commit to someone, you commit all the way through, in regards to it. So, I don't blame myself for that.
Okay.
No.
I'm famous for saying last one and then having one more.
Really? You can have a couple more if you want.
Okay. Thanks, Ant. That fateful day at Glenn Archer's place.
Yep. Glenn
Archer's wife's birthday and the toilet exchange. Now, I know the fact that nothing happened in the toilet.
That's right.
But were you aware that where things were at that point, or was that something that came out of the blue?
No, I knew something was going on. I'd known for a while, but until you can actually catch the individuals out, then it's a pretty big speculation to query someone about that, especially Wayne. So in the end, I was the one that actually caught the two of them that night.
You mean you caught them that night? You saw that Kelly go to the toilet?
I didn't see him go to the toilet. I seen him leave from the toilet.
Okay,
so.
okay.
I mean, it was in a public area,
yeah.
so...
Okay, all right. You've been very good on it, very brave. Now, you take over the captaincy of the footy team from Wayne Carey. 10 days later, you take your new team to Adelaide, correct?
Yep.
The boys who were involved in that game said that they've never, premierships included, there's never been such an outpouring of emotion when you left the ground, went to the rooms and you'd beaten Port Adelaide. Is that your memory of it?
Yeah, it was Glenn Archer's 200th that night. I think it was 200th, yeah. And, I was more excited about Arch playing 200 and winning the game that night, and I think he kicked the winning goal. So, the closeness of the boys, because we actually went away before that game to Lee Colbert's father's place up at Bendigo, Bernie Colbert's place.
The whole team?
The whole team.
Yep.
And we discussed about a lot of different things, what we wanted to achieve out of the season. Pretty much if anyone's got any queries about what had happened, they can speak to me or speak to Glenn or anyone in the footy, any of the senior guys. So we dealt as a team with a lot of different things before we hit the first game of the year with the support of Dennis. And in the end, we come out and had a great win, an amazing win.
Was it good for you that you had the captaincy, that you had to think of more people other than just yourself? I'm not saying you've never been into self, but in that situation where you'd had the personal dilemma, that you had to actually be responsible for a group of 25 or 40 players?
Yeah, I mean, Dennis wanted me to be captain, and whether that was a board decision or in the end, I actually knocked it back 2 or 3 times. But it was my dad and Ron Joseph who actually talked me into it. And I was still nervous about it because I was trying to sort my life out, So in the end, I think halfway through the year, I remember sitting down and thinking to myself, I'm actually glad of taking the captaincy because it probably did take my focus off my personal issues.
Have a look at that picture there. It's an amazing force football, isn't it? When no matter what happens in people's lives, you can get to where you two are just, there's unadulterated joy there, isn't there?
Yeah, and Dennis is like a father figure, and I know Glenn said that on a number of occasions. I mean, he had an amazing ability in the 90s with the players we had and because he coached a lot of the guys in under-19s to get the best out of them.
Anthony, let me take you back to the game, the first time that North Melbourne played Adelaide after Wayne Carey left and joined the Crows. How difficult was that?
When I was actually driving to the ground, I was in a different world. I didn't know where I was, to be honest, because I didn't know what to expect. The hype of it leading into it, and etc. So I was in a different world in regards to, and I remember driving along saying switch on, switch on. I just wasn't in a good place going there before I played the game. So
what, negative or just confused?
Confused. I didn't know what to expect. So in the end, we got beaten that night, and that's the most disappointing thing. So,
any dialogue exchange there?
No, we didn't really say too much, but I think I grabbed him on an area that I probably shouldn't have. But,
really? Did you?
But anyway, I mean, he looks like he wants to belt the crap out of me, doesn't he?
Is that sad? I mean, as an observer of both of you, that's a sad picture to me. Does it evoke sadness in you?
It is sad because we were good mates and we had an amazing friendship amongst a lot of guys. So that's the saddest part about it, friends are hard to make, and, for something like that to happen. So, but in the end, I mean, was he a real friend with that happening? Was it? So in the end, no, I'm not sad about it. It's a sad scenario that we lost the game that night. I would have loved to have won it and stuck it up him. So, but that's life. You move on, and yeah.
Were you close when Arch and the Duck shaped up?
No, I wasn't close. I tried to clean Wayne up on the wing at one stage and come off second best.
Were you fighting out of your division there, do you reckon?
Oh, no doubt about it. But I wouldn't go down.
No, that wouldn't worry you too much, would it? No. When we come back, Anthony, let's talk about that horrendous night in North Melbourne that nearly cost you your life. The 1999 Premiership was your second.
Yep.
You shouldn't have played, should you? Did you have a broken ankle from the preliminary final?
Yeah, I had a fracture in my heel on my right foot, and plus torn all the ligaments in the ankle. So it was, I'm pretty sure it was a good 14 to 16 week injury. 14
to 16 weeks?
Yeah, injury.
And you turned it into a 7-day injury?
Pretty much. I mean, Dennis, to his credit, he said, son, if you can actually get on the training track for 10 minutes on Thursday, he said, I'll play you. So I was pretty determined to get on there.
And it wasn't your foot that gave way, was it? That was the game in which you ripped the pectoral muscle, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had a reasonable first quarter, and then 10 minutes into the second quarter, I actually went to tackle Brett Ratton, and he actually dodged at the last minute. So I actually hit him with me right arm, and with that, the force of it actually ripped the pec muscle off the bone. So I went off the ground not long after that.
You were a tough little bugger, weren't you?
Oh,
you were. You were. No, you were. Let me take you back to your first game, wearing number 58.
Yep.
I mean, can you remember what your thoughts were then, and where you thought you might be headed in football?
When I got drafted, I was a mad Collingwood supporter. So my whole family was mad Collingwood. I got drafted, and I never ever thought I'd ever play AFL. And I thought if I did, if I could get 10 games or get up to 50 games or something like that, then I'd be wrapped. To nearly get 16 years and nearly play 300 was kind of, a dream come true. So my first game, I come from a little country town called Wayai, and all the boys from Wales, I think there was a bus or two that actually come down that night, and I played against Collingwood, and my childhood heroes were Peter Dacos and Darren Mullane, and I was lucky enough to actually play against those two, and I think I had about 18 possessions in that game, which was a bit of a thrill, and I kicked 2 points, and we actually won by 2 points that night. So
well done.
Yeah, so that was an exciting time.
You averaged 20 plus possessions for 16 years. And a rucker over in North Team of the Century. I mean, those things have got to have exceeded any of your boyhood expectations, don't they? Oh,
by a mile. I don't think, as I said to you, I think one of my strengths was actually understanding who I was as a footballer. But I would have been happy to play 10 games, but to actually achieve those things, I still don't believe I should have been in the Team of the Century. I think.
Really? You mean that?
Yeah, I think a guy like Jimmy Cracker should have been in before me. There's a few other players as well. So Matty Larkin, he was an absolute superstar in the time that I used to, as a kid, watch footy, and then to actually come to the club. He missed out as well. So there's guys like that were stiff. I know Jimmy's in the.
He's on the bench, isn't he?
In the bench now, but that was a few years afterwards that he got added to the list.
There's another incident in your life that occurred, I think, after a Friday night game.
Yep.
You're at the Redback Hotel. You're at the front in a laneway and a shard of glass falls and almost decapitates you.
Yeah, after John Blakey had his 300th game that night, I think it was 300th, and we all went back to the Redback Hotel, which was partly owned by Wayne and Anthony Rock, and I think Ricky Nixon was in it, and Darren Crocker. So we always used to go back to the famous Redback in Flemington Road. It was actually in North Melbourne. I decided to go home. My mum and dad and brothers and sisters were down. A couple of them were down, so I'd had one beer, walked out the side door of the hotel. So I had Lou in front of me, who was the manager of the Redback, and then Kelly here. And with that, I heard a smash of glass, and next minute I felt the force of a plate glass actually hit the side of my neck. So with that, I've gone forward and put my hand up to my neck, and I could feel the whole side of my face just peeled away, and there was just blood going everywhere. So funnily enough, my body went into shock. I was in no pain, so my body went into shock, and I handed my keys to Kelly, and she was hysterical, and pretty much I got put into a car. Shannon Grant's brother Stewie had just rocked up, seen what had happened, rushed back and got his car. They quickly threw me in the car. He drove straight across the road, so we were across the road from the Royal Melbourne Hospital. Yep. So I drove across there. And funny scenario is that Stewie obeyed the road rules, so he's actually gone up to Flemington Road, turned left, gone down the lights, waited, turned around, driven back all the way back up.
Were you aware of this? Were you seeing this unfold?
Yeah, so I was sitting in the car, and I actually said to Stewie, I said, how's it look, mate? And he goes, no, it's only a bit of a scratch, mate. And at that time, I could feel my body getting weaker and weaker with the blood that I was losing. So by the time we got to the hospital, he got out and run inside, and I got out of the car and took 2 steps, and with that I started falling side. I felt my whole body falling sideways, and then I was out of it until I kind of woke when I was on a trolley being wheeled in.
Gee.
And then I had 2 guys just pushing towels and gauzes against my neck, trying to stop the blood until a surgeon come in. So the specialist said if I had been 10 minutes away from a hospital, any further away, I would have bled to death. So I was lucky that it happened at the Redback, which was across the road pretty much. So
that gash, which it's hard to tell now, you just have to know your history to know you've got it, but it's 20 centimetres?
Well, it goes from there to the back of my neck. So the next day, on the Saturday after it happened on the Friday night, the specialist who come in assessed the whole scenario and pretty much said I'd have to go in and try and attach the nerves back together and trapezius muscle, and he pretty much said he didn't know how much luck he would have, and said I'd probably have a drop shoulder and a drop lip for the rest of my life, and I definitely wouldn't be playing football. So I wasn't too concerned about football at that time. But in the end, lucky enough, we had surgery and he was able to attach it all back, and I ended up playing 14 weeks later.
14 weeks, yeah. I mean, it was a great career. We love watching you play. Everyone admired your courage. I admire your courage today. You've been very honest in what's a difficult situation. Good to see you, and good luck from here.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thanks, mate.
This has been a Fox Footy production, part of the Fox Sports Network.